Trying to get the stream to work here. A few people watching, but they can't seem to connect it here. Let's see. Now I see a viewer in the chat, but I think that's me. Yeah, that was me. Okay. Dropping some frames. Stream options. See. Options here. I've now. Try this. Okay. Let's see if it'll work. Yeah, this is gonna work. Cool. Well, kind of a rough start. I can close some stuff down here, maybe get some more RAM and processing power available. Shut down things. That Team Viewer and Dropbox and Adobe Creative Cloud. See if I can kill some of that stuff. Something hogging up the CPU. Here. Always learning. Always making adjustments here. Let's see. All right. $17 late. And backdrop problem here. That's enough. Adjust it away. All right. Hey, Tiger and Jed. Nope, didn't miss anything yet. In fact, I have a brand new intro that I was going to start the show with. So I'm going to go ahead and run that now just for I guess grins. So switch back to the starting soon. And I'm going to be quiet for a minute and run the intro. Here we go. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 9 of Jeremy Makes Stuff. Sorry, a little bit late, had some technical difficulties. I must have done something to my YouTube channel. It changed the live URL, so I had to figure out where to get that from now. Let's see here. I am going to some more windows here. See if I can regain some CPU and processing, processing and RAM. So this evening, I have a few things to show you. First of all, the 3D printer is back online. Let me pull up the printer camera here for you. And so it turns out I'd shown you some of the photos previously with the print was starting to stair step as it printed along. Turns out that there was a problem with the x-axis um, motor control, and the it was I've got like 350 hours of print time on the printer. So after a while, with that one moving on the x-axis, it causes that wire to break down. And what I noticed when the so when the print head moves along the y-axis, it's moving the x-axis cable, like curling it. So what I noticed was when there was a long enough y movement, is when I would get that x step. So a friend of mine was over this weekend, and we were hanging out, messing with stuff. Wanted to 3D print some things, but we were running into some issues, and we were able to make some test print files, some different size squares and stuff, and figure out which axis was the problem and when it was happening and all that. And then some quick Googling to find where some other people have had similar issues and all that kind of fun stuff. And we were able to eventually figure out that the mess that was going on and get that all taken care of. And now, if I can get this to up here, yep, yep, what's up? Screen that. So you can see the 3D printer is running right now. So the major improvement. Jed and Tiger both said they liked the intro. Thank you. I worked hard on that. Kind of faded in some of the first few episodes and got some stuff going on. I realized that my chair behind me, which has made it in every episode, I see this way. It's red, black, and white, and my keyboard is red, black, and white, and my new website on at jeremysouthern.com is red, black, and white. So I guess I just sort of ended up with some theme colors, it's red, black, and white. So anyway, the 3D printer's running. We replaced the wire. That was a little more difficult than I expected, but not too bad. The extra wire from Amazon, and it actually came with two of them. So it's nice long cable. The one end was the correct connector, but the other end was not. So I actually had to cut the wires on the old cable, and spliced it together so that I had the correct size connector on the side that connects to the main board on the printer. But all that's up and running nicely, and since then run another, oh geez, I don't know, 50 hours, I guess, since fixed it Saturday night. I was going back to Louisiana on Tuesday morning, so we were trying to get a bunch of stuff printed for him, and then I was finishing up prints here. So anyway, printer's all good. I also got the new fan in for the laptop. From the previous episode, we were discussing issues I had around like the printer and the laptop. New fan in from the laptop, haven't put that in yet. Gonna take care of that soon. But now for the big reveal. Let's see here if I can switch back to the desk camera. Oop, that's not right. Here we go. There we go. We have the magnifying glass project. This is a horrible. Sorry for the shaky cam stuff here. Finally have the finished prototype with it printed in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces, and there are got the spots here for the lenses. Along here in the back is a little mitochondria design. I shaved a little off of the hinge. Let me see if I can get in there. Maybe. Here we go. I had to shave a little off the hinge because it was too tight of a fit. But it's on there really nicely, and the lenses attach really well. So do a quick little demo here. I can get everything lined up. So you can see here on the screen. Let me open the camera. So everything looks a little blurry in the distance. Got this clipped cable end, and if I pull this around here, you can actually see it's nice and zoomed in and in focus. This, I believe, is the 10x lens. If pull this back, so you can get a view of this where the lens is on here, and I'm just gonna rotate this and pull it off. I'll put the 25x zoom on down here. You can see that's let me down. It's quite a bit blurrier because the focus point has changed. And I've got this little tiny owl that I 3D printed. So you can get a good look at this guy. Yeah, look at that. So to give a little better example here, I take, let's see, here is a little 3D printed owl right there. And here's his friend. There we go. So you can see how much the zoom works there. Let me get it in focus. You can see the little flower on top of her head. And so you can see that 25x zoom with the focus from the old phone there makes a nice digital magnifying glass. So that's what we were going for there. So I think that's a pretty successful test. And I put it together earlier before I started the stream, just to make sure everything fit. But let me see here. You can see the lens clipped in just fine, and it goes down to the hinge with the pin and the wing nuts there, and then we have the space at the bottom for the extra lenses. So I'm pretty happy with the design. I think it works really well, and it's got that zoom there. Let's see, once it focuses, pretty easy to see the good stuff there. So let's see here. Tiger asked about the 3D printer. Did I add any cable chains? I haven't yet. I'm definitely going to print some to go on that side. Also, I had a bunch of other stuff I was trying to print for my friend and for the show and stuff. And he also asked if I have an older Penny get with the magnifying glass. I don't actually. I might have some change downstairs, but printed the little owls, a little test demo there. They're pretty cool, I think. Nice little design. Found them on Thingiverse. So that's cool. If let's see. So here I've got, just look at a few more things in the magnifying glass. Unfortunately, since it is a Windows Phone and there's not an app store available anymore, I don't have a yet to stream the screen, what the screen is seeing. as a camera. Actually, the camera I use here is my cell phone, but hooked up to my computer, uses a webcam. It's got a pretty good camera on there. Unfortunately, I can't do that with this phone yet. I've been looking at some different options. I may be able to. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to play with it and see. But let's look at a few more things here. See if I can get a different angle going here with the desk camera. Okay. Yep, right about there. All right. Don't have a good stand here for it yet. Try that. That's pretty good. Okay. Set up just a little. So we can see on the screen, explore it because things are really far away. I have a ESP8266 here. And you can see where the focal point, it really just like, bam, comes into focus right there. Backside here. See Node MCU. And it's got the website and the information, which is written like super small here on the back of the board. So, give you another wide angle shot of this. Rotate it around here. So, I think it turned out really well. Tiger says it came out good. Had some fun designing it. And didn't have too many failed prints, even though I had some printer issues. So, I like that quite a bit. As far as modifications, it seems like work on some projects like this, there's the potential there that it could never be done, right? Adding features to it, adding different attachments or whatever. One thing I'm thinking about adding to the lens side of it, maybe some LED attachments with the camera phone. So I just took a picture. The camera phone, the flash works if you're taking a photo. If I switch it to video, I can turn the flashlight on. The problem with that, though, I can show you here, it's super bright, so you see it washes out the screen. When I get close enough to focus, it doesn't really help. The built-in LED. Also, I think design-wise, you can see here the built-in LED is right at the top of the lens. So for the lens to fit, the LED would have to be somewhere else because I think it's covering that up and it's causing the light can't shine here because of the shadow of the lens. Yeah, right there. So you can see the shadow on my finger directly in front of the lens, which is where the light would need to be. So the onboard LED is not going to work out, but I also have my LED lamp, desk lamp here that I've been using for everything. So switch this back to the camera. Something else that I thought was pretty cool, and I didn't even think about this before, but when looking at, I'm going to switch back to the 10x lens. The 25 looks really good by itself, but with yeah, something I didn't think about is the camera phone's camera, or I guess the camera phone's camera app, actually has a digital zoom as well. So where did Owl go? Top hat, there he is. Yeah. So if I'm looking at this, it's in focus. Well, I'll get it somewhere where you see it on the camera too. So if I'm looking at this and it's in focus, I can also use the digital zoom. Sorry, I don't mean to be moving the camera around so much. See if I have something I can set it on. Be a little better. Let's try this. Huh. Nope, not so much. All right. Anyway, the you could focus here. Turn him around. Using the digital zoom. Actually, zoom in a little bit more there. See the really fine detail. You can see the really fine the 0.1 millimeter layers on the hat really well. I'm not sure how good that's coming across on the camera. So anyway, really happy with the way this turned out, and really appreciate the help and ideas and support from everyone that was here on the stream with me. I know Tiger contributed quite a bit to the design of the base, and Ken was hanging out one night. You know, a bunch of different people um, as we were going through this. Tiger also says you could use a piece of milk jug to act as a diffuser. Um, oh, you mean for the LED? Yes, oh, it could, but still, I think the place where it's lined up, it's hitting the arm, and then it's also causing that shadow there on below or right in front of the lens. So, um, yeah. So I'm very happy with that. I'm going to modify the files just a little bit on the hinge. Like I said, uh, they come together. They were really, really tight because it was uh, like to the 0.1 millimeter precision in on the model in Thingiverse. Let's see. I think. Oh, my phone just booted. So I'm frozen on the screen, but I'm still here. Anyway, the model in Thingiverse was too precise, and it was really hard to get it to fit together. So I actually trimmed a little bit off of a piece of the center hinge on the upper part. No, I'm sorry, on the lower part. So I will modify the file accordingly, and I'll put it up on Thingiverse. I was wondering too if maybe I could so if anybody else wants to make one of these, you're gonna have a different phone most likely than I did. So the spot where the lens needs to screw in will be at a different height. It's even possible to be off to the side. Um, on Thingiverse and also with what is it? There's a JavaScript CAD program um, online. Anyway, you can actually set up like generators or systems or whatever where they're inputs for the model. So I might look into creating one of those in Thingiverse so that you can adjust the height of the arm or the uh, left or right placement of the left, right, or center placement of the circle that the lenses snap into, um, so that it'll be a little more easier to handle. Tiger also says you could repurpose the guts of a Harbor Freight free flashlight into a lighting system. That's a good idea. Harbor Freight is always giving away free little stuff like that. That would be cool. See if my camera to come back online. Maybe. And back. Cool. All right. Fix that. All right. Um. So yeah, I'm gonna put those on Thingiverse. I'll at least update the hinge and I'll look into seeing what it takes to do the code to make it adjustable by entering some values or whatever. Um, Maybe like you can measure the height of the phone and put that value in, and it'll calculate the correct length of the arm, and then placement of the camera's aperture, left, center, right. Um, so it'll be easier for other people to make this and not just have to download the files and then modify them because I know there's been several things I found on Thingiverse that I thought, oh, this is really cool. I want to uh, use it for whatever, and then you have to modify the file first because it doesn't quite fit whatever you need. Let's see. I went to Houston Maker Faire on Sunday while my friend was here in town. We went down there, and there was a vendor there that has rainbow filament, and that was really cool. The rainbow filament, like, so it was just on the spool, like a regular spool of filament, but every like 30 centimeters, it sort of faded to a different color as it spun around there. Oh, thank you, Tiger. He says the word I'm looking for is parametric. Yes, one of the uh, parametric models, the inputs. So the guys that make it gave me some test filament. Try out. It's not rainbow, it's red, but it's the same brand and quality and all that kind of stuff. Try out and see how that works. The only thing that's holding me back from buying the rainbow filament is the length of each color is so long that if you're doing something small, like these little owls, it's really only going to be one color. Even if you're doing something like, I have these Raspberry Pi cases, the Raspberry Pis. This would be red. Well, the next one might be like half red and half orange, and the next one would be all orange, and then the next one would be half orange, half green. You know, so it's really cool for a large print. Like there was at the Maker Faire, there was a big castle, and it was done in the rainbow filament, and that was really cool because it was like it was big enough that the photo of the guy holding it, it was covering his entire torso. So it was big. It had a lot of infill in different places and whatever, and all the little intricacies with the windows and the stairs and everything. So that looked really cool. So it looked really impressive on the right model. So we'll see. I don't know. Um, I also have my printer. It's not a tiny one, but it's also not a big one. So it maybe this isn't the first thing I've printed that was multiple parts, but it was I have only ever printed one thing that ended up being glued together, and that was actually for my friend this past weekend. So in the end, it was a pretty big model with three pieces. Um, Now, if that was done with rainbow filament, as long as the pieces lined up with the colors, then it would be okay. But if it was something like um, the magnifying stand, those none of those really line up in such a way that the printing was in order with the colors and the lines and the layers and everything. So I don't know. I think it's a really cool idea. And if it's doing maybe some large vases or something, I don't know, that would look really cool. But for a lot of small stuff, um, it's not really. I don't really think that the rainbow filament would work out for me so much. I did order some other filament from Amazon that came up as deal of the day, or it was like $9 or $11 for spool of filament and some white and black and gray, but it's a different brand I haven't ever tried before. So I'm gonna try it out. It looked like those come on sale pretty often, so if that works out, that's also a little better deal. And there's a electronics place nearby that has filament and parts and all kinds of other stuff too. That I'm gonna go buy tomorrow. I made a small order. I got some hips. The So when 3D printing, a lot of times you have to add support structure. So like when we did the pin on the hinge, excuse me, we did the pin on the hinge. We did it with a raft. So it printed a whole bunch of stuff first, and then as it printed the pin, it was sort of floating above the bed, and it was a smoother print and things like that. So there's also a couple of different materials. So to take that apart, I had to peel the pieces off, right? So I ended up with some stuff like this that I had to peel off and break off, and some of it still kind of stuck to the bottom, and had to sand it a little bit and stuff like that, just to make it look really good. Um, there are other materials that can be used, like HIPS or PVA, and I'm sorry, I don't know what all these stand for right off the top of my head. Um, I looked it all up earlier and was prepared, and then lost it. Let's see. It's 3D support, 3D filament. High impact polystyrene is HIPS, and PVA is polyvinyl alcohol. So with HIPS, it will dissolve in this chemical called what is the dissolves in D-limonene. Yeah, limonene, I guess. It's like I was reading about it before. It's some kind of extract from the like the skin of citrus plants or citrus fruits, and it'll so you print something and you use the supports in HIPS or PVA, and if it's HIPS, then you can soak the part in this D-limonene, and it'll actually break down the high impact polystyrene so that the more complex stuff can print and have the supports, and it breaks away easier. So instead of ending up with chunks like this with all these little danglies and whatever and stuff stuck on the side, um, it comes out nice and smooth and clean. With PVA, polyvinyl alcohol, it's actually water soluble. So you drop the part in a cup of warm water and wait, I don't know, 12, 24 hours, depending on the size and whatever. And it'll actually just melt away, and all you have left is the piece. A lot of what I've read says that um, the PVA is really good with PLA. The material I've been using is PLA. It's what does it stand for? Poly something. Yeah. Um, it's basically made out of corn. Yeah, it's polyactic acid or polyactide. But PLA, it's biodegradable. Um, and it's made from like cornstarch or whatever. And then ABS is a different material. It's thicker or not thicker, but it's a little stronger, but it's also a little more brittle, and it can give off some toxic fumes. I was told before. I haven't really messed with it much. Um, and but supposedly what I read was if you're using PLA, you can use PVA as a supports, and it'll just melt away in the water, and they're close to the same temperature for printing. And then HIPs, you're supposed to use this ABS because they're close to the same temperature. But the HIPs, what I was reading, will print around 220 to 230 degrees Celsius. Well, the PLA I've been using is printing really well at 220 or 230. So I went ahead and ordered the HIPs to go with the PLA because they're printing at the same temperature. And the issue, if you're using two different materials that needed two different temperatures, would be so if say the PLA was just printing perfect at 180 degrees Celsius, and the support material was printing perfect at 230 degrees Celsius. Well, that one hot end for the support material is going to be too hot and cause issues with the material that you're actually printing in. Um, So you can see here, I actually have on the 3D printer, which isn't actually behind me and isn't actually as big as I am. The CTC Dual, I have two different extruders. So I'm gonna set one up to do the support material and leave the other one on the PLA, and we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Tiger says, I really love the Sunlow PLA Plus White Ivory from Amazon. Tiger does have a lot of really nice models he's done. I've seen the white ones, like a Groot planter and different like statues and things like that. It looks really good. Um, Now, Tiger, is there any special modifications you do to the files when you print those? And does it necessarily matter? I know you've got multiple 3D printers. Are there different settings used for the different printers with the same material? Um, Let us know here in the comments. There's a little bit of a delay as usual, so it'll take a minute to get response there. So previously, when I tried printing with both print heads, I was having some issues. Part of it was an alignment thing. Also, I'm not sure if the original firmware was actually very good for that or set up right for that, but it's since installed Selfish. Also, and this is interesting. I think so anyway. Let me see if I can find the video. I read about a new 3D printer firmware from from Hackaday on last year, but it's a new printer firmware called Clipper. Clipper. Let's see here. Tiger says just treat it like regular PLA, the Sunlow PLA Plus, and he said only the wood and the PETG print hotter. So this other firmware. So originally my CDC printer came with this stock firmware from China. Placed it with Selfish. It's been doing a lot better. There's this other one called Clipper. Let me pull this video up here for you and show you. And Clipper will allow the printer to go a lot faster. And in this video, if I can move my head out of the way, it's actually printing at 250 millimeters a second. So you can see it's like speeding along. And move the mouse there so you can see the time at the bottom. It's just flying along like crazy, which is pretty cool. And I was talking with my coworker today and previously about 3D printing, and he's like, "It takes so long. You got 15 hours to do some little something." I'm like, "Yeah, but you're gonna go to bed, you're gonna go to work. If the printer's running for those 15 hours, that's okay." But I do understand he's interested in something a little bit faster, sooner, kind of thing. And I've also shown him videos of the SLA printers. Oop, hold on, cancel. DLP, all those other different stuff, just to show its, the different styles. Like with the SLA, it dips down into the resin, and the Blu-ray laser basically fires and comes up, it wipes, drops down again. And it goes pretty quick. But so I don't know. We'll see. Clipper looks interesting. I was talking with Ken, who's come by a few times, about Clipper earlier, and he was looking into it a little more, and it looked like it actually does some processing, additional processing on the computer side. It's not just like um, sending a file to the printer, but it actually has to process on a Raspberry Pi or something. So anyway, interesting uh, improvement if it actually prints faster and all that. Let's see. Jed asks, how do you tell the slicer which extruder prints the supports and which prints the rafts? Well, let me pull up Simplify 3D. Eventually, it will open. Pull this over here. I had 3D printed a, let's see, let me shrink myself down a little bit here. Down we go. I had 3D printed mask earlier. And whoa, sorry about that. Scroll went a little crazy. But if let's see, I'm going to find something on Thingiverse. Test. First, there's a misspelled that. I don't want to go to that website. I don't know what that would be. Thingiverse, two color frog. Yeah, two color tree frog. So this right here, this two color tree frog, you can see there's two different models here, but when it all prints together, it makes a single one, and it's not something that you can just like snap into it, right? That would be kind of cool, but it's not quite that easy. um, you can see, I mean, it looks really good. So if look at these actual files, there's the small solid, small hollow, big hollow, big solid. Let me grab the big hollow and the big solid. Those download. So while those are downloading over here in Simplify 3D, oh, Jed says nice dissolve. Thank you. Here in Simplify 3D, we can actually set up a couple of different processes. So one process would say this is the left extruder only, and let's say this one PLA fast, so 25, whatever. Just set up the settings on this one, the layer height, all that. I was playing with stuff earlier, so I got some weird settings in here. So that one's all set up. I'm gonna call this one dual left, and then set up a second one. Call this one dual right, and this one is the right side. And let's say that one we wanted to have, I don't know, less infill, 12% for whatever reason. This is the right tool head, same layer height and all that. I'm not sure what would happen if you chose different layer heights, but not sure how that would work. Probably not so well. So we got all this, that's all fine. So now I've got these two different dual left and dual right, and they're set with their different specific settings, right? Different infill in these particular ones. So I'm going to drop in the two frog models. So this is the solid piece with the, I guess, like, I don't know, ditch cut out around it. And then this one is the piece that fills that up. So when it's done, it's supposed to look like this, right, with the two different colors. So here, let's see if I can remember where to do this. There's a dual extrusion wizard under tools, dual extrusion wizard. And here you can specify, right, so I'm going to create a group, and this is the base profile, and I'm printing with PLA. So the right extruder is a solid, left extruder is the hollow, or could swap those or whatever. There could be multiple files in there. And hit OK. So that sets that up. Oh, I see. I did these too soon. So I come in here into the colors now in the process. As you see, there's a dual extruder group, color 1 and color 2. And now we can adjust like left extruder only, adjust the infill to 15. And then color 2, it's a right extruder only, adjust that to 30. Whatever different setting it's going to be. It could actually be temperature, because the you can set the left temperature, the right temperature to different things at different points, because maybe the material is a little bit different, right? I've got some dark green PLA and some brown PLA. The brown PLA prints out beautifully at 230, 235, right around there. The dark green at 230, 235, it gets way too goopy. It's too hot for it, so I have to print it around 210, 220. And a lot of this is just like trial and error, right? So, um, for Christmas a few years ago, I 3D printed my mother-in-law a bunch of trees. They were two flat pieces that they stand up and like plug together, right? So it makes a 3D piece out of two 2D pieces. She sells some handmade earrings, and I made her these little trees that she can hang the earrings off of in her shop space. So anyway, the different the material could be different, right? I could be using hips or PVA as a support material. It may need to have a little different temperature setting or whatever. Um, so once that's all set up, and you can see it looks all smooth here, right? Because we just have everything selected. Um, if I tell it prepare to print, and I'm gonna print in both. I'm not actually going to send this to the printer. Right now it's slicing, and it's using a lot of processing power. So it's slowing down a bit here. That's parsing the G-code file. And now we're in the preview. So let's see, I need to move myself over a little bit of the transitions. So here on the 3D print, you can see maybe it was active toolhead. Nope, that's not it either. Feature type. Nope. Well, anyway, there it is. Current process. So it shows which section it's printing and when and all that. So it's just a matter of getting it set up correctly. Jed asks, so for just supports, you just turn it on for that extruder and leave the other one off. Not exactly. So this was specifically for two different colors. Like we're going to print this tree frog that, um, has the two different pieces. Let's see, how do I get my processes back? Oh, I don't know. All right, well, they're gone. I can always add new ones. No, there's a, let's see, let me grab a model. Oops, I don't know what's happening there. Stop. Grab a, import a model. Let's see here, like, something, some overhang too. All right, well, I'll grab the owls again. So let's suppose these owls were a lot bigger. That's, too big for my printer, obviously. But suppose it wasn't, and we wanted to add some supports around the beak. The new version of Simplify 3D, version 4, show you some fun stuff here. Yeah, version 4 in the release notes. It has a new setting for, well, lots of new settings. But specifically, we're talking about support structures. So here you see this is optimizers soluble support. So previously, this whole section would have to be in HIPS or PVA, so you would lose a whole bunch of material. Well, now there's some new settings in Simplify 3D, so that the more expensive support material, you only use a little tiny bit of it. And also, since there's less of it, it won't take as long to dissolve. So I haven't dug into those features just yet. Only recently upgraded to version 4, which adds this new thing. But This is here in the example above, we were able to use the features to create a high quality print, saving over 18% of the cost of the materials. Print the majority of the supports with very sparse 20% infill in our inexpensive PLA material. In the last few layers of the support near the surface of the part, we switched to a dense 70% fill with PVA, which is the water dissolvable material. Um, so that's a really neat feature. Like I said, I ordered some hips. I'm gonna check that out. Maybe able to do a video on it. We'll see um, how that goes. There's some other neat features in here too. The bridging perimeter options, something else I want to dig into because there's been a lot of times where, for whatever reason, time constraint or um, whatever, that I haven't had supports in a few places where probably should have. And you can see here in this bottom example where there's issues with the sagging and the gaps and stuff. But there's some new settings with some bridge perimeter options where you can see here in the top view it didn't do that. So I don't know if it's moving faster, if it's moving slower, if it changes the, I don't know, extrusion rate or the flow rate of the extrusion. I don't know. But I have to look into that and see because that looks a lot better in this top image, and I've seen that stuff there in the bottom image quite a few times. So hopefully that'll be something cool. Also, this other one, this is multi-process vase mode is a new feature. Um, I'm not really sure what else is going on there, but it has to do with the retraction and movement stuff going on between layers. I've just recently played with the vase mode stuff a little bit. It's pretty neat. Did some I Dream of Genie bottles and hit them around the house. See how long it take my wife to find them. It's 5 days. Let's see. Jed asked, "Is there a checkbox for it?" I don't know. Like I said, I just saw the features were here. I haven't really dug into them yet. I didn't have the material yet, um, so I've got to go through the documentation to see how to do that stuff. Um, One thing we looked at just a minute ago when we were looking at the previews, there are some new enhanced controls, um, actually showing the tool head position and some other like options with the preview stuff, which is pretty cool. Previously, I believe in version 3, you can only preview by line. Um, so let me drop this down again to 75. And sure what's going on here. All looks good. Let's just say we're going to print this. You go to preview mode. Give it a second to things. Calculating infill. Tool paths. So it's going to generate the G code that would be sent to the printer. And, excuse me. Some good water. Good cold water. Parsing G code file. Well, okay. So this is here, preview by line. I believe line previously, switch this back to movement speed. I believe line was the only preview option in the previous version. And what that does, it actually shows the tool path as it draws the line, or it shows the tool head as it draws the line, rather. You can see it back in the background. Let's see if I can, whoops, too far. There's something going on with my mouse wheel. Zooms in really super fast. But so you can see the tool head moving along back here along the line. And just kind of chugging along wherever the tool head would move on the 3D printer. The other option, though, preview by layer, whoops, missed, preview by layer, actually shows layer by layer as it stacks up. So the preview's a little bit faster, and it just the, the route the toolpath takes all along the line may not really matter specifically to whatever the you're looking at as the preview, but you can preview by the line and see. Whoops, I missed it. Grab my camera's actually in the way, I couldn't see it. But as you preview on the way here, you can see everything that's going on layer by layer. And switch back to line. You actually watch it camera again. All right. Yep. Okay. So if switch this back up close. These little owl guys, owl guy and owl girl, they're really super cool. Be detailed, small. I'm gonna make some bigger ones too. I don't know if I had my ears pierced, maybe this would be a cool earring. I don't know. Neat little ornaments or something. Stuff. I like finding little neat little prints, neat little designs like this that look really intricate and cool on Thingiverse or other websites, right? There was one BD something. That's a lot of help, isn't it? Anyway, they have a set of robots. Might be able to find it. Printed robot. Yes, on Fab 365. These are really cool. They have a set of. Was it on Fab 365? Yeah, it was. So like, I'm too big and in the way. Let's see here if I can get myself out of the way again. Come on. Okay. So you can see here, this is a Bender robot, right, from Futurama, which is pretty cool. Um, and Tiger actually helped me print one for a friend of mine. But what's really cool about it is it prints in a single print file, and it's can't see a larger picture of that. It actually prints out flat, and then you fold it up to make the robot piece. And this website actually has a set of a set of foldable robots. Maybe it wasn't Fab. I sure thought it was Fab 365. And it's showing the model here. Back to their main site and see. Yeah, so here's another foldable robot. Some more foldable robots. So all of these robots print in a single piece and has some thin hinge-like sections. Yeah, so you can see that canine robot from Doctor Who prints out in a single piece, flat like that, and then folds up to the full design piece. And all of these have movable parts too, like this has the side open, and it looks like the tail moves and the head moves up and down. On the Bender robot, the arms and the legs move, and the chest opens. You can store the beer bottle and the cigar in there. This one looked cool too, similar to the Lost in Space robot. I think the original one anyway, not the new one on Netflix. But see, it prints in a single piece, and the arms and legs are done just right, so they can rotate and bend and walk and stuff. So you can see here the legs are in different. Well, you can't see here because these pictures aren't bigger, but the legs are in different positions. And these are actually not that expensive either. If you decided, oh, I wanted to print one of these, it's like less than $5. It's pretty cool, and you can print as many times as you want too. Um, and they even give the average time based on the layer height and what colors you should do if you want it to look just like they did. Um, Even a list of printers, which is kind of interesting. They recommend these printers. I don't know, maybe they sell them as well or something. But there's some other neat themes here on this website too. I'd look through here. Previously, the lamp collection and some phone cases and some candle holders. There was another. I think this one had a bunch of statues on it too. I don't know if it'd be under art or architecture. Yeah, here we go. These are really neat, and a lot of these are free too. Um, So like a Nefertiti mask or Napoleon statue, um, nymph statue, some pretty neat stuff. So if you're, had an uncle that was into Egyptian art and needed a birthday present or Christmas present or something, you could 3D print a Nefertiti mask. The back is actually set up so that you can hang it on a nail or a hook. So, and you could adjust the infill and everything else and make it smooth or print from a different side or whatever. This looks like it's set up to print with this side on the bottom as the base. But yeah, it's pretty cool stuff. And there's a lot of information in here about the supports and processing and everything else. Here it says takes 38 hours and 30 minutes at 0.1 millimeter height, so that's pretty crazy. So anyway, so yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff. I like finding little neat stuff like that, like the Bender robot or um, the owls on Thingiverse. And Thingiverse has a kind of a rotating thing at the top here, the featured item. Like right now, it's a ram skull. Interesting. Um, yeah, here's a robot with a pumpkin on top. A cryptography thing. The spider pumpkin was really cool too. Um, I think it was like 6 or 7 pieces. Files. Go to the files. There it goes. Yeah, so it's like there's this leg piece and these the chest and the little leg or it's the outside of the pumpkin. All these different little pieces here and print them out at various amounts. And then they did this cool little stop animation video. The pumpkin spider pops out and kind of looks around. So pretty cool. Anyway, so there's a lot of fun stuff there. So as we've been talking here, where did my 3D printer camera go? I'm like a little lonely guy down here in the corner. Was talking to Brian. He had come by the stream a couple of times before too, and he had mentioned that it was funny that just like this little tiny me with the screen behind me. Let's see if I find. I was gonna bring up the 3D printer camera again. Right now, I'm actually printing a larger version of the owls. See how far along it is. I keep pointing over here as if, because the 3D printer's over here, but as far as, see, I have to bring it up on the camera. Come on. Yeah, there we go. So you can see it's got the little wooden stand. Or it's not wooden, but the log they're standing on. It's coming in pretty good here. Or here, yeah. So anyway, had some success. Finished up the prototype 3D printed pieces for the digital macroscope or digital magnifying glass. Excuse me. Got the 3D printer working again. Got the parts in for my laptop. Need to take care of that. Got some other fun stuff coming up. Have some more coding projects. Also need to work some more on the Bunny Runner level design stuff. I know we only touched on it in the first episode. I've been working on it a little bit more off and on. Need to finish that up and get that released soon too. Just so many fun things to do, so many things going on, so many different hobbies to play with. So and I guess my phone is about to shut down, so I guess I'm gonna call that a night then. Thank you guys for hanging out, and um, hope you have a great evening. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet and you like what you see, please do. Um, If you like what you see, please like the video. I'll be posting more information on my website, jeremysouthern.com, with links to different things we talked about in these episodes. A few episodes behind on there too, getting the stuff set up. But because we're probably 4 or 5 episodes in whenever I decided to redo my website and feature the video stuff here on it. So guess that's gonna be it for this evening. Thanks for hanging out. Have a good night, and I'll talk with you later.